Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Well, welcome back, everybody. I guess welcome back to myself. It's been a while.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, I should have been the one to welcome you back, Gavin.
Yep.
So how was your trip? You finally made it all the way around the world, right?
Yep, exactly. Went down under and back again. So it was good.
Testing things out here. Your accent still sounds the same.
Yeah, I think I pick it up pretty quick and I drop it like a rock when I get back here. Don't want to be one of those dirty.
And we still got to upgrade. We got to update the intro again. We pulled the wrong one. It flips to CFML New Edition. Remember that one?
Oh, whoops. Okay.
Stuart just reminded us. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, so if you can't tell, we're back and we're rusty. Gavin's been gone, and he's now back. And so we're going to bring you the news for, what is this, July 23rd, 2019?
Yep, exactly. So thanks again to Brad and Andrew for taking it when I wasn't here. So you guys did a good job. And thanks everybody for following up with us, even though we missed a couple of weeks there with 4th of July and a few things that popped up. So thanks again. But again, we got some good news here. Some of it you might have heard before, but some of it is new. So let's jump right into that then. So Adobe CF Summit, it's coming up again soon, and we have some news for you there. So the early bird special that was supposed to end at the end of June, somebody forgot to flick the switch. So if you guys didn't get your early bird tickets, you still can now, but shh, don't tell anybody. So the conference pass is still $99, and the workshops are still at the early bird prices as well. So, but with that being said, though, there's actually something else to announce, that the 2 CF Summit workshops have been announced in addition to the specialist program. So who do we have teaching those ones?
Yeah, so Adobe had announced 2 new workshops. One's going to be a hands-on Cold Fusion security workshop with none other than Pete Freitag at Foundeo. He is definitely one that you want to listen to when it comes to security. And also, the training number 2 is going to be going from 0 to 60 with Docker and Cold Fusion images. And that one's going to be done by our Charlie Earhart. And he's one of those guys, kind of like Pete, that if you ever run into a problem, he's the guy you're going to want to listen to. So catch him now and learn the ins and outs of using Docker and their CF images. I don't know anything about the dates of those. Did you get the dates of when they're doing those workshops?
Yep, it's the same date as we have normally. So it's the day before the actual conference, so September 30th. So now instead of just having the specialist program prior to the conference, you could choose to do one of these pre-conference ones or the specialist program if you're coming early. So it's a good opportunity. Like Pete's one is always great. I haven't actually seen this one from Charlie, so this might be an interesting one because I know Adobe's working on their Docker images and trying to make them bigger and better. And so this sounds like they've teamed up with Charlie to get that information out there. So it sounds like a good option if you guys aren't going to do that specialist program. So The other cool thing about the conferences is that obviously the call for speakers has been over for a while now, but they've actually announced their speakers. So now we have another list of names, Andrew, that we can mispronounce.
Oh, man. Hang on. Let me see if I can get these going up here. So Ortus has a few guys speaking. There's this guy, I don't know his name, Luis. Y'all know that guy?
I don't know who he is.
Anyway, Luis, Brad, Eric, and Gavin are all going to be speaking from Team Ortus. And Adobe has their list of speakers as well, which... Yeah,
Rick Sheath and Uday and Kailesh, Pluesh and Sashika, I think. Like I said, we're mispronouncing your names, but it's great to see some Adobe speakers there. Yeah, we do apologize.
I don't anticipate them actually really watching us, though. But if you are, we do apologize. And here's what I like to see. I'm interested in actually throwing these names out because these are all community members, and there are more community members than there are anyone else. And we have Pete Freitag, George Murphy, Brian Class, Matt Clemente, Giancarlo, I always call you Gio Gomez. Sorry, dude. We got Matt Gifford. Matt's going to make it. That'll be cool. We got Carl Von Stetten, Dan Fredericks, Uma. I'm not going to try your last name. Sorry, dear. We got Abram Adams, Dan Wilson, David from Fusion Reactor, Charlie Earhart, and Dave Ferguson are all going to be speaking at the Adobe conference. And
there's actually more
because it is community.
Yeah, and there's even more on the list. I just grabbed the ones that I know that we see time after time at these conferences, and we see them into the box and everything. So there are other speakers. I didn't put all of them there. So if you want the full list, you can go to the CF Summit website now and look at speakers. And I think as they get confirmation, they're adding a few more as well. But it's a great list. So that's what we wanted to show you guys, that Adobe CF Summit is not just Adobe speakers. There's a whole lot of great community members speaking there, and a lot of names you hear time in, time out on this podcast were some blog posts or tweets, or even just some of our Patreon sponsors are in there as well. So it's good to see that there's a whole community putting it forward, and it's not just one group of one company leading the way. So it's really a great conference. It's a lot of great content from a lot of different places. So come check it out.
Yeah, I agree. I'll tell you what's cool about that, in my opinion, getting other people's point of view. We all learn differently. So you can have 2 or 3 people who honestly talk about the same exact thing, but it may not jive or it may not click for you until you hear it from somebody else. So it's always good to see people, not just from the community, but they're training and teaching based off of experience, not based off of like what a company manual has told you to do, right?
Yep.
Not saying that's what Adobe does, but that's just kind of, they have their, set ways, and even Ortus has their set ways of doing things. And so by seeing, other community members, it's just good to, see how they integrate things and how they, go about, making everything work. So I like it. I'm cool with that. That's cool. I'm awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So we did mention the other workshops as well. So, again, the 2 new ones are the security one and then the Docker images. But then the Adobe has the Cold Fusion Specialist program still. So we've talked about this previously. So it's a full day certificate classroom workshop with some prereqs that you do before you get there. So there's some information in the show notes for you on that, or you can look at it online at the CF Summit website. But in addition to that, Otis is doing their bootcamp training. So you have 3 options for before the conference, day 1. So you've got the security, the Docker, and now the Adobe Specialist. Then you have 2 days of the conference, which has a lot of great speakers. And then if you want more, there's more, because Otis is doing 2 days of bootcamp after the conference. So that'll be 5 days. So tell your wife you're going to Vegas for 5 days. Maybe stay an overnight just for fun. But you're going to be there all week, because we got two great workshops we're doing there. So again, myself and Eric, we're going to be doing the Callbox 0 to Hero, and Brad and Luis, which are both speakers at the conference too, are going to be doing the From Hero to Superhero, which is the API edition. So you guys can really get up to speed on Callbox. If you're already familiar with Callbox, the Hero to Superhero should really push you a little bit. See the way we do modules with hierarchies, API keys, and JWT tokens and everything else. So they're both great sessions, and we're going back to the suites.
Yeah, y'all are going to be in the Aria Resort this time, which is going to be cool.
Yep.
I know a few years ago y'all, actually every year y'all have actually had done a suite, but y'all had initially planned on doing a conference room at another resort or another hotel, but instead we're going to be doing a suite at the Aria.
Yep.
Well, I say you guys. I might crash the party, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a really nice looking area too. So usually with the suites, we get up a couple of tables set up and we have a nice setup. But these ones here, the link we saw the little video intro. It's a professional conference room looking suite. So it's really top notch. We have our projectors set up, whiteboards and everything, and everybody have the space. And then we get all the additional benefits of having a nice suite. We can relax afterwards, and there's sofas to chill out on, and really get the most of it. And the big thing with these workshops is we only limit it to 10 people, so we can make sure that we got enough people to help you all the way. It's not like you're not going to be sitting in a workshop of 100 people where it takes an hour to get to your question. You're going to be helped right away. There's the 1 to 5 basically, and sometimes we have extra people helping as well. So, you're going to be, handheld as much as needed, and, you get your questions answered, and everybody makes good progress. So when you leave there, you're not only inspired, but you can actually build on top of what you've done. So I'm really looking forward to that. So it'll be good. And we have a link in the show notes for how to get that. There's a blog post about it. So if you guys go to the Ortus site, you can search and find out more about the boot camps. But I'm excited about that.
All right, sounds good. And I guess up next, we're going to talk about what we got?
The next
Bootcamp in Bangalore, India.
Yep. So if you can't make the Vegas one, the Callbox Zero to Hero, basically it's a 2-day training in India this time, and Luis is going to run this one. He's done this a few times around the place, so it's a great workshop. And if you guys are in the India area, or you can make it to India for this and you can't make it to Vegas, this would be a great one to go to as well. There are group discounts available if you guys have a company over there or a group of people that want to get together. Again, great great workshop, lots of good information, and yeah, just good to see if that's in your part of the world. It'll be a good opportunity for you. But if you're not in that part of the world, we have stuff going on in different parts of the world too. So
yeah, for sure.
So Brad and Eric are going to be in Germany basically the day after. So the India one is October 16th and 17th. And then we have our conference is going to be in CF Camp is going to be the 15th and 16th, with the conference the 17th, 18th. So training for that is going to be held by Brad and Eric. And they're going to be doing a couple of workshops. So you guys can pick the one that meets you. I think we're about to announce what the workshops are and get all the ticket information online soon. So look out for that. But Call for Speakers is closed, but what's the update on that?
Yeah, so everybody is being notified, or is in the process of being notified that their topic was chosen. And once they get confirmation back from everyone, they're going to announce their speaker list, and we're going to keep you up to date as soon as we have information on that.
Yeah, it looks like they did get quite a good number of submissions. I was watching the podcast that I missed, and it's going to be pretty good. So yeah, and Brad just messaged in the chat that he's going to sing and Eric's going to dance, or maybe Brad's going to dance and Eric's going to sing, because they're going to sing and dance for their workshops. So
this would be interesting.
So a lot of good information about the conferences coming up. So again, a lot of great conferences all over the world. So find one close to you and attend. And if not, trainings are good too. But get out there, network, learn something, and yeah, be a part of it. So
yeah, and for those of y'all just joining us and wondering about all this conference stuff we're talking about, you've heard us talk about it in the past. Pretty much the only thing that has really changed, just so you a little synopsis here, is CF Summit. They have released their speakers, and they've released 2 new workshops. And what else was there? A rundown. That's just the basics of it, right?
Yep. Yeah. And then CF Camp, their Call for Speakers is closed, and they're closed, and
the list will be coming out, and we'll let you know who they are. So
yep.
That's for anybody joining us late and didn't want us to hear us talk about the conference stuff again. So let's jump on to the good stuff, the blogs and tweets of the week. I like these.
Yep, this is fresh every week, so it's good to see.
It's fresh.
For sure.
So fresh and so clean.
Yep. So we got a few favorites of ours that we seem to talk about every week, and a few new ones too. So Michael Bourne has been busy again. He's got a couple of blog posts out recently. His latest one is on form processing in CF Script, part 1. So I guess he's going to do basically a series here. So the first part is all about form validation and, how to validate your form. And it's a good walkthrough. If you guys are trying to get used to CF Script, that's always good as well. So that's great. And then the next one we have.
Yeah, so, and I don't recognize this guy here, so I apologize. I'll have to check you out. But we have James Moberg, and I apologize if I screwed your name up there. Has released something here on how he's doing Cold Fusion dates. Did you get a chance to look over that, Gavin, and see?
Yeah, and you might know his name is Game Over. I think his Game Over is his tweet handle or his Twitter handle or something. But he's basically saying how some Cold Fusion will pass dates a certain way, and it'll accept it as a date, but then my MS SQL in the background won't, and it'll throw errors and stuff. So he was explaining what worked and what didn't work in 2016, 2018. So it's pretty informative if you're working with those. I mean, dates are always a trouble, time zones and stuff are even worse. So it's a good little post. So if you guys are dealing with dates and one of those versions, you should probably check that out. So yeah. And Brad said, yeah, game over for James's Twitter handle. So, and then we have Ben Adele on the Cold Fusion train here. So I heard you guys mention a couple of his blog posts recently. Looks like he's got another one here for us.
Yeah, Ben's been playing around with Lucy here lately, which is it's good to see because there are a little bit of oddities and differences between the way Adobe Cold Fusion and Lucy operates, and he's digging in deeper on it. And one of them he's talking about is the CF query param tag. It's not requiring the CF underscore SQL prefix on the data types in Lucy. And he's got a blog post, and that's going to be in our show notes. But basically, just kind of like an example of the use case of this. That's one thing I like about a lot of Ben's blogs is every one of them has a good use case. So looking at the verbiage on the blog, you'd be like, man, I don't know what the crap this guy's talking about at first. Then you look at the code and you go back and read what he's talking about, and it's like, oh yeah, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, a lot of people grew up on his stuff.
That's how I always read his blogs. I don't know if I'm the only one that does that.
But yeah, I like he's very crystal clear, a lot of spacing around his code. Everyone mocks him a little bit for that, but his code is always clean and simple to read, a lot of comments and everything. And yeah, it's really good. And I know he says it's doesn't require them in Lucy 5.3 because that's the version he's testing, but I think that's been that way for quite a long time. And again, we've mentioned CF Docs a few times. CF Docs is great. If you check on there, it'll tell you which versions require what, and it's just one of those things. It's a few extra characters you don't have to type every time. And I always forget, is it CF underscore SQL underscore or just CF SQL underscore or SQL underscore? So it's easier if you do that. But to be honest, you guys should probably get a snippet for your CF query params anyway, and that way you can just click on the right snippet and it does it for you. But again, it's cool to see Ben blogging more about Cold Fusion again.
Yep, definitely. We also have another blog post here for you guys. This one here is going to be from TerraTech. It's going to be about the Cold Fusion training list. Just basically a bunch of resources for learning. Hang on. Got to close out of my instant download here. And
it looks like he's got some of the ones you'd expect. CF and learn CF in a week, and companies like Ortus Solutions in there. But there's a whole lot of other companies and stuff in there that I didn't see before. And so it's kind of an interesting list. So if you guys haven't checked it out, it says 17 resources, but I don't know.
There's more.
The link of the actually says 16. The title says 17, but there's about 20, 21. So if you guys know of any other resources, you can probably update, get a hold of Michaela, and get them to update that. They can do that for you as well. But there's a lot of good stuff in there, and if there's a few that I haven't seen, so I'm sure there's a few that you haven't seen as well. So if you're looking for some resources, whether you're a beginner or advanced user, there's a lot of great stuff in there. So.
Yeah, this is a good list. I'm going through everything here. Man, this could be a rabbit hole for me.
Yeah,
I could just dig in that for days. So instead, I'm going to jump over here. There's this guy named Brad Wood. He's kind of weird. He likes to tweet a lot. He likes to talk a lot, right?
Yeah.
So he's got this tweet going on here, basically thanking John Berquist for the Century Error Reporting Library. So it looks like they've got that module up and live on ForgeBox. Now, that's not actually our ForgeBox module of the week, is it?
Nope, it isn't, but we'll talk about that another week. But yeah, that's a module we've been working on with a couple of customers, but John Berquist went ahead and added it so now that you have the right method names reported in the stack tray. So before, the module was doing a lot of great reporting, but John Berquist went and added this little snippet of code, so made a pull request, and now that the method names you get back in the stack trace are way more reliable, and that really helps when you're trying to debug stuff. So that's a really cool addition. Like I said, Sentry is a great error logger. We started using that a couple of clients. That's pretty cool. That should be one of our modules of the week coming up here pretty soon. So. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. It's a mature product, and we just got that module up and running just recently, so it's pretty cool. So thank you, John, for the pull request and making it even better. So very good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to look into this for the roll bar module that I have. Maybe work and fix on some of those same kind of issues.
Yep. And then
Which might actually be, even thinking of that, man, I hate to jump ship onto something else, but man, talk about CB mail services on our module of the week. We'll get back to that. God, just jumping the gun. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep. So detour here. So Brad's got another one. He was showing off with about his JDK updates. So Adopt Open JDK released a new update for JDK 8 yesterday, or this is when he tweeted. And then he only found this out because he restarted a server, and Command Box has this cool new feature in it now where it manages your Java versions for you. And so when he restarted his server, it realized there was a new version and it automatically downloaded the new JDK for him. And so he just sat there in the CLI, did all the work, updated his JDK, and then his server was running on the new JDK right away. So he was sorry, not sorry, for being lazy, just watching his CLI update his Java for him. So it's pretty cool. That was a nice feature when Brad added that with all the JDK issues we've had recently with licensing and everything else. It was pretty cool to have that. And now Command Box will manage your JDK for you. So as part of your repo, you can actually define which JDK you want to use, and it will manage it through ForgeBox just like normal. It's pretty cool.
Could you imagine having this 10 plus years ago, whenever we had to install the JDKs and things separately and manually? That would have made life so much nicer to have.
Yeah, I can't imagine working without all the tools we have now. Like, I mean, even just take Command Box away from me, which is a big part of my work, process, I would be hurting. And when I have to go do some legacy sites that aren't running that, or on servers that don't handle that, or whatnot, or they're stuck in their ways.
It's always that change of gears, that shifting gears to shift mindset, always slows you down. It seems. I agree.
Yep. So another one from Michael Bourne. This is a little older, but because we missed last week, I wanted to cover this one too. So he actually creates a Lucy extension for MS Access, which is kind of cool, because one awesome thing about Lucy is that if the engine doesn't do what you want it to do, you can write your own extensions. And there's actually some professional extensions. There's extension endpoints, and ForgeBox is now an official extension provider endpoint. So you can actually create your extensions and put them in ForgeBox, which is pretty cool. So we have that for some of our open source and our commercial extensions we've built. We've got them for Redis and other caching solutions like Couchbase, etc. But so here he actually builds an MS Access Lucy extension. So if you guys are thinking about writing an extension or you want to know what they are, this is a pretty cool article for that. So he makes an MS Access one, and I read a little bit of that. I want to go back and go through it in more detail because it looks pretty cool. So it's good things.
It does. It does look cool. And I'm looking here. So everybody knows the Lucy. Well, I say everybody. If you have noticed, the Lucy extension that you upload is a .lex file. All that is a .zip file renamed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever see an extension, you want to look at it, rename it to .zip, extract it. You can see what it does. You can get an idea how to operate it.
Yep, that's pretty cool.
Manipulate it to do what you need elsewhere.
And since Lucy is more modular now too, when you actually install the Lucy engine itself, it actually downloads extensions for a lot of the other core pieces of the engine. So that's why the Lucy is so small. When you start up the first time, it'll go get a few extensions that you need just to get it up and running and get those extra pieces in. So it's kind of cool how all that works. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So, and then Brian Class released another one in his series. So they're using AWS step functions in CFML. So he has one where he's speaking translated text into an MP3 file. So pretty cool. If you guys didn't want to hear our voices, we could just create a text version of this podcast, and then we could just give it to AWS, and it could actually get the words, the text, translate them into an MP3 file in the language of our choosing, and then you guys could listen to that instead. So
we should do that next week and vote on which one's more annoying, my voice or the robot voice. It's gonna be
a tough one.
It's gonna be a tough competition. But no, that is really a cool. Feature there.
Yep.
It's definitely triggered into to AWS there to generate all that.
Yep, and I actually had a podcast interview for the Soapbox, which we'll be releasing shortly here with Brian, and we talk about a lot more of the AWS features that they're using and how they use this to translate, text into the native tongue of whoever is taking the courses, because a lot of people are English speaking at a lot of the educational institutes around the country, but still learning it would be easier for them in their own language, and so their systems actually translate with text, from English into whatever language that you want to listen to. So if you're more comfortable, in Spanish or whatnot, you can basically just download the Spanish version of a lecture instead. And it's pretty cool. And it's pretty neat. It comes out really nicely, and it's a pretty cool little system. So a great blog post there too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think that wraps up the blog post that we have.
Yeah, we probably could have a few more. If you guys really want us to spotlight them, please, tag me and Andrew.
We need a way of tag us. Y'all make a post or something. You see something you want to be featured on here, let us know.
Yep, and then we'll make sure they get in here. But there is lots of great content out there, and we're just giving you a snippet every week. So
just a snippet of it, for sure.
But let's get on to the module of the week.
Yeah, since I kept jumping the gun on this, and the reason why is because there was two good lead-ins to it, and I just couldn't help but want to go down that path. The module of the week is going to be the ColdBox mail services, which is basically box install CV mail services. This is kind of the object-oriented approach to doing, like CFML. But the cool thing about it is you can, it operates on providers and interfaces. So if you want to change, instead of sending mail, to have it log the mail to a file, well, you just tell where it goes to instead of having to rewrite a CFML tag to CF file tag. You don't have to do any of that. You just, say log to file. So like your dev environment, you don't want to send out emails. Well, you just tell them to go to file, and then that way you can physically look at the file there locally to see what would have been sent. It's a lot better than bombarding your clients with
test emails.
And I think we've all done that accidentally at least once in our career. If you haven't, you're lying. That's all I got. Well, you haven't been tasked with the job. At any rate, really cool module.
Really simple. I like the fluent, language too. New mail dot to, and then put the two addresses that you need, etc. The subject, you set everything, in order as needed, and so it's really neat. Yeah, much more fluent, much more, sort of modern, shall we say, and then more modern, and then with the whole environment settings, you can have your ColdBox settings, and then depending on the environment, it can change the type, like you said, from file or whatever, or even just use a different email account to send with. So maybe all your test emails come from a different email address than all your productions ones. And you can also override, the subjects, etc., and put prefixes in. There's all sorts of things you can do. It's a great little tool. But yeah, the reason you want to jump all over it was the interfaces, right?
Yeah. So CV mail services is basically what I've modeled building, interfaces off of. So, for example, this other little module we had over here, what was it? That Sentry one, right?
Sentry, yep.
Yeah, so I use Rollbar. There's Sentry there. So then you can kind of take, just hypothetically, think this through with me. Using the same concept of CV mail services where you just send mail. Well, let's just say we just send extra logs. You can kind of mimic that and create an interface to where you can, send logs to Sentry, to Rollbar, or anything.
You know what? Like there's something for that. I think it's called Logbox. So you can just log all your stuff, and then inside your Logbox settings, tell it to use Rollbar or Sentry or whatever. So, and that's what we have. We actually have a Sentry appender. So inside of Logbox, you can just append to Sentry. So yeah. So and that's what I like about working with Luis and all of them. They have just great architecture. So instead of just building a module that does something, there's always a way to extend it or build on top of it. And that's what, like Cashbox. Cashbox is a single interface, and then you can choose the caching provider behind the scenes. Logbox is a single interface, and then you can choose the login provider behind the scenes. You choose which one you want, and away you go. And same with CB mail services. You choose whichever mail provider you want behind the scenes. If you want to use Mailgun, you install the Mailgun one. If you want to use SendGrid, you can use SendGrid or Postmark or MailChimp or whatever. And you don't have to change all your code because it handles it for you. So, yeah, and it's like you said, it's a great example of a provider interface setup, and yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about by interfaces, it's basically just think of basically having a middleman that only accepts X, Y, and Z, and you tell it, hey, X, Y, and Z, but do X, Y, and Z over here, right? And then it just translates everything to work properly for the particular provider you chose. That's really all the interface is. It brings everything through a funnel,
Yep.
and allows everything to kind of not only bring it through a funnel, but to make sure each function returns the same data set to data types, all same expectations. So really cool.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to jump all over that module there for some odd reason. But anyway, enough of that. What do we have for our VS Code hints, tips, and tricks of the week?
So this is an extension that we probably should have covered the first time. So we're talking about VS Code and how we can make the editor work for us. And we're CFML News, and we didn't tell you which CFML extension to install, so you get all the syntax highlighting and all the cool stuff that you need for Cold Fusion. So this week we're going to talk about the CFML extension. And I'm going to mispronounce his name again, but it's Kamasama K. It's got over almost 11,000 installs, 29,000 downloads. It's 5 stars and it's free. It's a great little thing. It gives you a lot of extensions and assists and everything else. And it's based on the VS Code Cold Fusions for syntax highlighting. And also it uses the Sublime Text CFML plugin that they had, and that gives some stuff for like some of the parsing logic and whatever, but it works really great. That's one we use. There's a couple other ones out there, but this is the best one for the community, we think. And it makes it usable. If you just use the code editor without something like this, you don't have all the syntax highlighting and everything. It's basically like using Notepad with some bells and whistles. But with this, it's just like using CF Builder but better. So Brad, it's time to switch.
Bam. Yep. Absolutely. And that's kind of one of those plugins that is become standard, and I can't believe we even overlooked it, because that should have been the very first one we even mentioned, was make sure you have that plugin installed, because otherwise you're just going down a wild, boring hole.
Yep. So if you guys haven't got it, check it out, and then obviously we'll keep bringing more every week. So,
all right, that brings us to the part of the show where we screw up the names and thank you guys.
Yep. We actually have a couple more. I didn't update this
that's
picture.
Matthew Brown. Brad said that's Matthew Brown's the guy who did that. Kamasamake.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I would not have figured his name would have been Matthew Brown with a name like that. I mean, I figured it would have been,
Cool.
Not bad, but you know what I mean. Whatever.
Yep, so we actually have a couple new supporters again. I have to update the image up there. Sorry about that, guys. So we have Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. And we have Gary, Jan, Joseph, Laxma, Richard, John, Kyle, Don, Samuel, David, Yogesh, Stephen, Dan, Jeremy, Brian, Didier, Scott, Jordan, and then the new ones that aren't on the picture there are Matthew Clemente and Dali. So those are 2 new guys. If you will go to the ordersolutions.com About Us sponsors page, you'll see everything now. And you'll see the new ones there. And you're pointing?
Yeah, I was pointing where they're going to go.
Oh, right there. Okay.
I was trying to do my weatherman thing.
So we'll update the picture to have their beautiful faces up here as well. But if you go to the Ortus site, they're on the About Us sponsors page. So again, thank you guys for all your help there, and it goes a long way to helping Ortus bring you things like this podcast and other open source tools, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And Gavin, it's good having you back. I missed chatting with you, and guess I look forward to seeing you as well as everyone listening again next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.